I'm just here to live a life of better days. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Worthy of Wonderful. My name is Bukeka, and of course, I go by BukekaStyle. And we have the distinct honor and privilege of having the one and only Enolia on as our guest today. And I am so excited. Let me just tell you a little bit, a smidget of what I know about this wonderful person. Enolia is an amazing coach. She is an amazing writer and speaker, but her passion is women's empowerment. And that is what she is known for literally around the world, helping women to know the power that they have within them, helping women to know that with that power, they can change the world. They can change lives. They can change the trajectory of humanity when they work with Enolia as their coach. And I heard one person who gave a testimonial for this wonderful woman that if you're not ready to change your life, don't even call her. Don't even call her. Because when you do, you will change your life. And so, Enolia, thank you so much for being the guest on Worthy of Wonderful. How are you today?
I'm fantastic after that introduction. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me and opening your heart and for the invitation. It's so wonderful to be here with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And anyone who's been kind of tracking you and I on social media lately, they know that we have a really special bond and that we've been doing some wonderful broadcasts on BE Empowered, the podcast, and so much more. But I really wanted our audience to know about you and all the work that you're doing in the world. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it up and ask you, tell me about what it is that you have come to know about worth, about inherent worth, about the fact that we have an intrinsic value that can never be diminished. Tell me about what you know about worthiness.
Wow. So, first of all and foremost, I had to find my own. And what I realized is that we all reach a precipice in our life where we question that worthiness, that value. If you've always had it, well, what a blessing that is. But many of us grow up thinking otherwise and feeling otherwise based on our circumstance, based on our culture, based on our livelihoods and what surroundings we actually grew up around. And when you reach that precipice of basically looking in the mirror and either not liking what you see, disliking what you see, wanting to change, whatever that is for you, that's the moment. That's the defining moment that you will either step up to the plate or you will basically feel this way your whole life. And for me, when that moment came, it was like I needed to shift. I needed to change some things. It's not just about saying, oh, I love myself. Yeah, that's easy, and another thing is that we can lie to ourselves very easily. The key piece here was being honest with myself. If you're not happy, why is that so? And that why doesn't necessarily mean, okay, change my job, change my circumstance. That why might be a deep-rooted, in-depth hurt or pain that you never addressed. It might be that deep-rooted sorrow that you just tucked away so gently so that you can move on with your life. But every once in a while, something triggers and it flashes and it comes air apparent right there in your face, not to be ignored. So for me, it basically was that moment, that defining moment, and then a solid decision that whatever it took, I was going to make changes in my life. And then in making those changes and in facing all of the vulnerabilities and the issues and the pains and everything in my own life, that's how I found my own worthiness and my own value. So that was it for me.
You said something that really struck a chord. made a decision, made
Mm,
a decision. And what I find is that you really have to be conscious of the decisions that you're making. And a
yeah.
lot of times we don't become conscious of the decisions that we're making until we're in a situation, like you said, where it's in your face.
Hmm.
Many times we're just walking around unconsciously. We're not really even aware of what it is that we're feeling, what it is that has brought us to the point of how we got into this situation. So it's when we get face to face with our own um, challenges, or even something even deeper than that, our own um, tragedy, even and trauma, that we begin to say, I need to make a decision. I need to make a decision about what it is that I want from my life. And then what happens so many times with the aspect of worthiness, we start to question, am I worthy of even having that? Am I worthy of even having the life that I want? What would you say about that?
I'd say you're right on point because what happens is that we think little of ourselves and then it's almost like a self-punishment. Well, I don't deserve to have abundance. Well, I don't deserve to have good things happen in my life because this particular thing happened and this is how I can show humility to it. But really what you're doing is that you are giving up the good fight, which is I am valuable. I am worth everything. I have to move through this story. I have to look back at this tragedy and learn the lesson from it so that circumstances don't repeat themselves and that I was brought here for a purpose. And in being brought here for that purpose, it didn't mean that my life was going to go just like humming along in harmony every step of the way. We go through adversity because adversity makes us leap forward to grow. We go through pain because once we get through the pain, we've learned a lesson so invaluable that we can either help others so that they don't have to go through it, or that we grow so much from that pain that we can shine. We can actually come out a shining light from pain. So it all depends on how you choose to process and how you choose to move through the stories that we create because we all have a story.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you say that with the clients that you work with in your coaching practice, that so many times people get stuck in their story? They don't see the forest for the trees necessarily. And what happens when people get stuck in their story? And how does that affect their ability to see their worthiness and their value?
Well, the fact that you're stuck in a story right off the bat is speaks volumes, you know? It's easier to be stuck in the pain and to dwell in the pain because what? To fight to get out of the pain? What a preconceived notion, okay?
Yeah.
I have to fight the good fight to get out of my own way and get out of the pain, that I deserve more, that I was brought here for more. um as we realize that we're stuck in this story, we have to realize also that in being stuck we impact everyone around us and how we impact ourselves. So by facing ourselves, we change our world, we change other people's worlds because we change how we relate to others. We have to be able to recognize first that we are stuck in this story. And then we have to understand that it is within us to change our story. And if you can't find that within you, then you seek someone like a coach, which is why I coach. So to help you look at points of views, different ways to move and navigate through the story.
Yeah.
We just have to take that chance.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to take the chance. We've got to get out of this comfort in our uncomfortableness, right? We
Yeah.
get comfortable in our uncomfortableness because that's what we're familiar with. And so it seems so difficult to move out of it. And is it really worth it? Yes, it is absolutely worth it.
Always worth it. And
Always
for
worth it.
everything that you give up and you basically say, "Oh, this is just it. This is the best I can do."
Yeah.
No, you're settling. And if you're even using the term settling, you're stuck in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get to where you are?
Oh my gosh. Really, it was that precipice we just spoke about earlier in the interview. When I came to that, instead of just saying, this is it, I sought help. And I sought help in finding my first Indigenous elder and in finding her in an Indigenous way. I was able to confront and face a lot of the growing up that I needed to do myself, past my ego. It's not everybody's fault. I had to take responsibility. I had to be accountable for my actions. I had to be accountable for what came out of my mouth when I spoke and how I thought. I had to be accountable for the fact that I was giving away my power here, there, and everywhere, and how not to do that. I had to be accountable for the fact that I had certain fears that were navigating and literally shaping my life, and I had to break past that fear and face my fears so that I can break through and then basically dare to step and understand that I may be taking a risk and this may be unknown territory, but that's okay. I didn't have to have every single answer in order to take the step. So there are a series of things that we are in control of within ourselves that we can do. And that's what I had to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I had to do.
So in your book, tell us about your book and how can people well, yes, just tell us about your book. Tell us about the experience of writing it. Tell us about the book itself, and boy, it sure does bring a big smile on your face. I can see that. Tell us all about it.
So, it's funny you talk about it. For me to sit here and say that I'm an author is just a phenomenal thing because I remember being back in high school, and I won't say his name, but I remember his name distinctly. It was a guidance counselor who told me I could not write. I was never a writer. I wasn't capable of writing. Maybe I needed to go back to remedial writing because my writing was poor, and that stuck with me. Somebody telling me what I couldn't and wasn't capable of doing. So the experience of writing was phenomenal for me because it was proving not only to myself, but those who would doubt my capability that I was able to do so. And we remember those experiences because those experiences when we were in high school and those times shape our lives. They shape our thinking. We remember those negative people who told us what we weren't capable of doing. So that was part of the writing in of itself was part of overcoming obstacles and challenges of how people saw me as a writer. And the actual act of writing was actually, I got into this routine and I'd go to my favorite coffee shop and I'd order my muffin and I'd order my latte and I'd drink my latte, eat my muffin. And from 8 in the morning, anywhere from 12 or anywhere into 2 in the afternoon, I would just write.
Wow.
And it just came through and it was wonderful. And then what I wrote about, the name of my book is called Enolia, Finding My Sovereign Voice with My Grandmother Elder, because I told my story. I told my story as I was in corporate, what my feelings were, and how I met this remarkable woman named Grandmother Isabel, who was my elder, and how going to her retreat and going through the iterations that she would have me go through taught me compassionate leadership, taught me the importance of asking permission from others and permission from myself. And I want to put that in context of how we have the sense of entitlement and we take things for granted.
Yeah.
So the opposite of that entitlement is to ask permission and is to come to a level of understanding and agreement to that which you are going to use has the entitled to be asked before you use it. To see what's sacred and what is held sacred and how to hold it sacred within me. To understand that in loving self, that is the bloom and the blossom that makes me grow past what it is that I want to bring into myself and bring into my life. And that the more that I lack the love within myself, the more that what I wanted was that farther and farther and farther reach than
Wow.
what I could attain. So what I did is I wrote a book that shared the story, and then I wrote a journal that basically summarized all of the salient lessons learned, each chapter. And then I wrote self-reflecting questions that would have you review and relate my story to your own life, and then allowed you to do your work based on my story. So I actually have two books. One is Enolia, finding my sovereign voice with my grandmother elder. Then there's the journal that says, discover your own sovereign self, discover your sovereign self, which is the workbook part. And then if you go through all of those iterations and you don't feel the richness and understanding and feel that you need more work, then you join me for my master class.
Nice.
My master class is a video online series, 29 series, assisted by Miss Bukeka Blakemore. And then from there, if you feel that you want or need more, work with me directly. Yeah. But it's all there. It's all there. And also to share is that starting in May, I probably will do, I will do, not probably, I will do an author's review. I just haven't situated the dates yet. And I will take you through the journal aspect of the book. And you can work with me, the author, so I can relate the stories. We could talk about the lessons learned, and we can relate it to the life, your life.
That is so powerful. It's so powerful because it's holistic. It's giving you information that's going to help you with your life. It allows you to process it and apply it to your life. And then it also allows you to get that one-on-one experience with you as a creator of this process to help you really move further along. And I think that what you'll find, listeners, is that if you're really ready to go onto that journey of worthiness and self-worth and you dive deep, this is a wonderful way to do it, because you're going to be able to come out of that experience as an individual very cognizant and conscious of the transformation that's taking place. And I think that's wonderful. When you can actually see the transformation where you were and where you are, now that's powerful. That's extremely powerful. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. It's a journey. It's a journey worth taking. It's a journey worth working for. And I can't begin it. And it's transformed my life. When I left corporate and I decided that I wanted to embark on creating my own business and doing women's empowerment, I called like 12 of my friends and I was like, hey, will you just host me for a women's circle or a circle? It didn't even have to be a women's circle. I just wanted to do an empowerment circle. Yeah. And that 12 friends amounted to 22 countries and 22 states and 4 countries later. So dare to leap. Dare to leap. That kicked off my whole aspect of wanting to be this worldwide international speaker and to learn across the world also. Because what you'll find is in my background, and as you learn more about me, is that what I do is I work and submerge with indigenous tribes. I learn from them, and then I learn how to teach from the inside out. And then I teach from the inside out, and meaning that we don't project what other cultures are doing in order to help you find what's best for you, but we talk about what's in your heart and where you're coming from deeply within and go from there.
Wow. So we know that you're passionate about women's empowerment. Why is that such a passion for you?
Because it's our time. It is our time, and it is the time of the divine feminine, the patriarchs. I love you. You've had it. Learn from the women. It's our time. You've had it for a long time. It's time for you to support us. It's time for you to understand that we bring something to the table and we can complement and we can lead.
Yes.
It's our time. It is the divine feminine time.
And you can feel it. You can feel it. You feel it and you see it all around. And I love the fact that there is so much attention put on the issue or the aspect of women's empowerment. I believe that as we as a global community begin to really embrace women in leadership, women um, in top positions in corporations, women in media, all of those things, you're going to see a greater experience of humanity. I believe that you're going to see people coming together in ways that we have not before. I think we're beginning to see that. And I love that because we know that relationship and community and collaboration is an aspect of the divine feminine, of bringing people together. And when we do that, we see growth and we see connection and we see healthier aspects of ourselves. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree. Very much so. So it's time for us to walk our paths. It's time to stop being dormant. It's time to stop stepping back and allowing others to leave because we don't feel powerful enough to do so. And power isn't about the physical strength and matching, going head to head with the man and meeting the man and going to battle with the man. It's about allowing your authentic voice to now resonate. If you have something to contribute, contribute it. Stop sitting back. Speak your truth.
Right.
Be your truth.
Yeah.
Stop taking on roles that don't suit you and dare to step into the role that does.
Yeah.
Dare to know that you're enough to do so. You have a vision, fulfill it. Because if you have a vision of yourself and you know that that's all you wanted to do and your soul is calling for it, then you're supposed to do it. So why do we hold back?
Such a great
What
question.
are we afraid of?
Yeah. Yeah. So this goes into my next question. What are we afraid of? And it also goes into the aspect of coaching and mentoring. Now, you've told us a little bit about your coach, Grandmother Isabel, right? And, and what I've noticed about coaches that are different than therapists is that they're not there to just simply listen to you or prescribe something there to you. They're there to push you. They're there to push you and push the envelope. And you mentioned a little bit about how Grandmother Isabel was able to do that for you so that you began to speak and be from that place of accountability. So, can you tell us a little bit more about why it's so important to allow yourself to be vulnerable to an extent of having a coach, of having a mentor to push you to move through those spaces in you that are keeping you from living your best life or having your greatest success? Why is that important for people?
Well, because what I learned is that your vulnerability is 9 out of 10 times your strength. And what it is that what we're hiding from, once you step into it and you stop worrying about what people think of you, perceive of you, judge you for, that's your strength. So that if you come back to me and you say, well, you're pretty curt about that, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And your point is what? Right? If I stop going, oh my goodness, oh, I was perceived this way, really? Oh, did I hurt your feelings? No, 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 no. This is who I am. This is how I operate. This is how I work. And I can do that compassionately. I can come from a place of love to hope that you will accomplish it. But because I'm not being considerate of the truth, if the truth hurts, the truth is going to hurt. Okay? Because I'm not enabling you by saying, okay, I heard your story and now you have to do something about it. And I don't take on your burden and decide that I'm going to fight for you and everything else for you. I am not going to enter into that triangle of disempowerment, which is perpetrating the rescuer. You have work to do.
Wow.
You have work to do. This is what it looks like. Do it. And I can support you.
Yeah.
And I understand that you might hit a low while you're going after that work, but you have to do that work. Or because I say no to you when something isn't convenient to me, and you just decided that you are going to dump your load and your burden onto me without regard of me. These are all different ways in which people operate.
Yeah.
And being able to say, no, that doesn't work for me is your lesson learned. I'm not going to allow you to make me your dumping ground. There are so many different aspects that we have to hold ourselves accountable in terms of not being the rescuer and rescuing the world, but then representing what it is that we know is our truth, and understanding that sometimes to be a good friend is to listen and to mirror back exactly what that person said and let them figure it out for themselves.
Mm.
It's to be the sounding board and then basically say, okay, now I've listened to you. What are you going to do? It's not for me to figure it out for you. All those little aspects of things that we do, and we are giving away our power. Well, so and so thinks this of me. Well, that's one data point. Okay. And so what? I have to take on what your projection of judgment is as my truth in order to operate? No, it doesn't necessarily work that way.
Right.
These are all golden nuggets. These are all things that we learn in order to stand strong and stand in our truth.
Oh, yes, yes. And when we're able to stand in our truth, we're standing on solid ground.
Solid.
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 Yeah.
And I would even dare to say that many people don't create a strong foundation, and they go after these big dreams, and what happens is that the foundation that they've created for themselves is like sand. And that's why they don't have success, because they haven't taken care of the foundation. They haven't gone back to the basics to say, okay, I am strong in what I've established within me in order to be successful. And that's what I do. I help you get that foundation solid and strong so that when you go after that vision, you're standing on something so solid, the best version of who you can be.
You have a saying, dream a beautiful dream or you will be dreamt.
Yes.
Speak about that.
We all have the capability of having a beautiful dream and a vision of ourselves. If you do not take the time to create that vision or that dream, then what happens is that you spend your whole life fulfilling what other people perceive of you and judge you to be. And so it's the difference between, I want to be a musician and my mom wants me to be an engineer. And if I hold strong to my vision of that musician, then my life will become the walk to that vision of the musician, and I can be the best musician that I can be. But if I take on the concept of this engineer, knowing that I don't like it, knowing that it doesn't attract me none whatsoever, and I'm just doing something to fulfill somebody else's dream of me, I'm going to resent it and sabotage myself from it and literally fail from it because I'm not happy. I could, be a halfway decent engineer the whole time, but it's not who I am at the core of my being. If I wake up singing and I wake up wanting to sing and I wake up with lyrics in my mind and all I want to do is sing and write down those lyrics and create songs, I'm supposed to be a singer. I'm supposed to be a singer. And to say, well, I like singing, but, engineering is going to pay the bills. Well, I've just set myself up for failure. And so many of us do that all the time.
All the time.
And what I've done is I've denied the possibility of the infinite possibilities of being the grandest and greatest singer that ever lived, because I believed in myself.
Wow. I love that. I love that. And I have my personal experience with you in that regard, as we've talked and as you've coached me. One of the things I realized, I don't even know if I've told you this, but as a vocalist, as a singer, genetically, I sound so much like my mother, right? Mm-hmm. She was classically trained. I was classically trained. And I came across the question, well, what if I wasn't classically trained? What if my voice was not trained to operate in a classical manner? What would it be? Where is my authentic vocal? Where's my authentic voice when it comes to that? And so just being able to explore that has empowered me has empowered me so much, because now I'm hearing tones and reflections and the way that notes are handled in ways that I never imagined. It's still beautiful. It doesn't sound like, a coloratura soprano necessarily, but it does sound really groovy and nice and flowing, and it's me. It's the vocal cords that are in my body. So as much as I appreciate the beautiful sounds of my mother and the way that I learned how to sing, I'm also learning how to use my voice and have those come through my vocal cords in a unique and beautiful way. And that is a way that I have been empowered by the words that you have shared with me before. And it's also a way that I am now empowering others to find their authentic voice. And I know that that's something that's very important in terms of your messaging as well, finding your authentic voice, including your authentic vocal cords.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's so funny because I come from a family whose background is very, very solid in medicine. And I think about it, I have two cousins that are doctors, MDs, and my mom was a nurse, and my parents met in medical school, and it's just very solid. So here I am, you know, and I work with energetic medicine.
Mm.
And so it's like that I found my niche, my part of that tradition within my family, but in an authentic way of the way that I choose to approach it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I have one other question for you before we find out more about how to connect with you as a coach, as an author. Travel is a big deal for me.
Yeah.
I love traveling the world, love connecting with people, and I would like to know, where do you love to go? Where would you love to go in the future? What is travel for you?
Oh my gosh. So it's so funny, and I'm going to relate it back to something that nobody would have ever thought. One of my favorite movies is 10,000 BC. And I remember the scene in the movie, and it was an uncle talking to his nephew, and he basically says to him, well, actually, it was his father's friend talking to a young man. And he says to him, some families, some people cast their net and they just cast it around their family. And some cast a net and they cast it around their community. And
Mm.
then there are those who are great leaders and they cast their net around the world, leaders of leaders. And so for me, I cast my net worldwide.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
when I think about travel and I think about what I've been blessed by the Creator in order to travel, it's learning how to live my life in the unknown of where I'm drawn to.
Yes.
So I've loved the South Pacific. The South Pacific has been phenomenal. I've loved South America. It's been phenomenal. And here I am in the Africas, learning and exploring. I don't believe they're comparable. I believe that each area brings their own unique voice. What I learned in Brazil among the Amazonian is so different than what I learned from the Sangomas of South Africa. It's so different than what I learned from the Waiatahas in New Zealand.
Mm.
So when I think about that and my beginnings of the Ojibwe of Northern Canada, and then Grandmother Shirley from the Lakota, I they're not comparable, they're just different. And I love them all. And so I can't imagine a world where the scenery doesn't change and the culture doesn't change and the lessons that I learn don't change. I really embrace them all, and there's a place for all of them in my heart. There really just is. And I think that that's the best way that I can answer that, because I see myself, I haven't had the good fortune of exploring India, and I will get there. I haven't had the good fortune of exploring Asia the way I want to, and I will get there in Indonesia. So there's something for all of us everywhere. And it depends on how wide you cast your net and what fulfills your soul. And so for me, the world fulfills my soul.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. As you were describing those regions, I could just kind of put myself there, you know. And I think that's what travel does, you know, is you put yourself in different scenarios and different communities and different atmospheres, different heights. I know that you're working with the Quiros in Peru, and you're also working with those in other parts of the world. And it's just so amazing to visualize and see yourself in other people's shoes. It really, it's just doing that expands your world, expands your world. So tell us, Enolia, how can we get your book?
You can get my book on Amazon, and if you put in Enolia, Enolia, it'll both of my books and a couple of my CDs will pop up, and you basically will see Enolia, how I found my sovereign voice with my grandmother elder, and then you'll see Discover Your Sovereign Self, which is the journal. And I also have two CDs out there, Wave After Wave and Speak to Your Higher Self, and they're just meditation CDs that happen to be on Amazon too. And then if people want to reach my master class, the page is on www.enolia.live. Okay, so all of my work can be found there. So that's the master class. Any events that I'm playing in, sign up for my newsletter and I'll let you know what I'm doing each and every month. And I'll definitely announce any dates for the workshops that are coming up, which will again begin in May. And that really covers it. I am on all of the social medias. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and I am on LinkedIn. And again, there's not too many people named Enolia there. So it's either going to be Enolia or Enolia Empowers. And you'll see me there. And my brand is I'm wearing a blue and yellow dress. And it's on every single social media, so you can't miss it. It's a blue and yellow multicolored dress that that my attire is in. And so you'll know it's me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we know about having those unusual names. There's not going to be any. It's not going to be more BukekaStyles out there.
Exactly.
Live.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again for being on this episode of Worthy of Wonderful. Everyone, please make sure to go to enolia.live, ENOLIA.live. Make sure to go to her website and look up those master classes. Make sure to listen to BE Empowered, and you're going to hear both of us on there talking about different subjects. And go to Amazon and purchase that book. I know you're going to love it. Mine is on order as we speak.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so excited about going on this journey with you. So thank you again, Enolia, for being our guest today on Worthy of Wonderful. And audience, thank you so much again for watching. Thank you for looking at us on our different platforms, on Facebook, on Fave Unite TV, on Roku, and also make sure to just visit visit BukekaStyle.com so that you can also see more of Enolia there, correct? Yes.
yes, and our partnership, our lovely partnership. So yes, thank you so much for having me and being the beautiful light that you are shining and being that beacon for so many of us out here working hard to, get our work shown and known. So thank you, Bukeka.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Have a worthy of wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for watching another episode of Worthy of Wonderful. Remember to install Fave Unite TV on your Roku television. And you can also find this episode on www.faveunitetv.com. And if you're looking for an additional stream of income, go to www.planetmarketing.com/B.Blakemore. That's Planet, PLANNET, marketing.com/B.Blakemore. And have a worthy wonderful.